Welcome to our quantum deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a topic that isn't just cutting edge. It's poised to redefine how we secure our most sensitive information, quantum cryptography. And look, this isn't just about making your online shopping a tiny bit safer. It's really about fundamentally safeguarding our entire digital world from some, well, pretty formidable future threats. We're talking specifically about the emergence of quantum computers.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. Our lives are so interconnected now. Online banking, cloud services, all those smart devices everywhere. Cryptography is that invisible shield protecting everything. It's the bedrock, secure communication, authentication, data integrity. Without strong crypto, our digital society just wouldn't work as we know it.
Absolutely. And guiding us through this really essential, and let's be honest, kind of mind-bending subject today is an insightful essay. It's titled Quantum Cryptography. Sicherheit der nächsten Generation by Jürgen Schneffe. So our mission here, like always on the deep dive, is to pull out the most important nuggets from his work, give you that shortcut to being properly informed on this critical topic.
Indeed. And we'll take you on a bit of a journey. First, we'll look at why our current digital locks are kind of living on borrowed time. Then we'll explore the amazing, almost weird quantum principles that offer this path to potentially unbreakable security. After that, we'll unpack the clever protocols making it possible and finally touch on the real-world challenges and the huge societal changes quantum crypto could bring.
All right, let's unpack this core problem then. For decades, right, our digital security has relied on some incredibly complex math problems. We basically trusted that these puzzles, like factoring massive numbers or solving something called discrete logarithms, were just too tough for normal computers. Things like RSA and AES that protect so much of our online life.
And, for today's computers, that trust is mostly held up. The big issue, though, is that while they're hard now, the rise of quantum computers looks set to just blow those assumptions away. The real game changer here, the smoking gun if you like, is Shor's algorithm. This isn't just theory, it's a specific quantum algorithm. Once we get powerful enough quantum computers, it can factor those huge numbers that RSA depends on, find the primes, basically super fast. Polynomial time, they call it. What takes classical computers maybe thousands of years, a quantum computer could potentially do in, minutes or hours.
Wow. Okay, so what's that actually mean for us? This isn't some far-off sci-fi thing then. It sounds like there's a really urgent practical need for completely new crypto methods, ones that can stand up to both classical computers and these quantum threats. It's about the future of secure information, basically. Precisely. And that pushes us into the really fascinating, often counterintuitive world of quantum mechanics itself. These are the ideas that don't just enable quantum cryptography. They fundamentally change what secure communication even is. It's like a whole new rule book for reality at the tiniest scales.
Right. And the first big principle we absolutely need to get our heads around is superposition. So imagine a quantum system, like a tiny particle. It can be in multiple states at the same time until you measure it. Mm-hmm. Think of a spinning coin as neither heads nor tails. Sort of like that, but, quantum. A quantum bit, a qubit can be 0, 1, or a mix of both. This ability is what gives quantum systems their massive processing power potential. Exactly. And building on that, we get entanglement. This is one Einstein famously called spooky action at a distance. It's where two or more quantum systems get linked, like fundamentally linked, no matter how far apart they are. What's wild is that the state of one instantly influences the other. Measure one particle is up, you instantly know its entangled twin is down wherever it is. This perfect correlation is just crucial for sharing secrets securely. It's the basis for a truly shared hidden key.
Okay, spooky indeed. And here's where it gets really, really interesting for security. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. This basically says there's a limit to how precisely you can know certain pairs of things about a particle simultaneously. Like the better you know its position, the fuzzier its momentum becomes, and vice versa. It's not about bad tools, it's just a law of nature.
And connecting this to cryptography is vital. This principle means that any attempt to measure or eavesdrop on a quantum signal has to disturb it, period. It leaves a footprint. You can't just sneak a peek without changing the message itself. That inherent disturbance. That's the fundamental security advantage. If someone's listening in, you will know. Which leads nicely to another core idea, the no cloning theorem. Put simply, you just can't make a perfect copy of an unknown quantum state. It's like nature has built-in copy protection for quantum info. And this is huge for crypto, right? Because it means an attacker can't just secretly copy the quantum key without messing up the original. They get caught.
No sneaky photocopies. Okay, so if these quantum laws are the security guards, how do we actually send these unclonable keys? That brings us to quantum channels and the measurement principle. Usually we send quantum info using single particles of light photons, either down fiber optic cables or, through the air like a laser. And like we just said with Heisenberg, any measurement changes the photon state. That's how you spot eavesdropping. Imagine Alice sends Bob photons with specific polarizations. If Eve, our eavesdropper, tries to measure them, she disturbs them. Alice and Bob can tell. Right, so let's get into a specific example. The BB-84 protocol, this was the first big one, right? From Bennett and Broussard in 1984. How does it work, basically? Alice sends photons, but she randomly encodes bits using different polarization bases like vertical, horizontal, or diagonal. Bob, on his end, also randomly chooses which bases to measure each photon in. Then, this is the clever bit, they talk openly, just comparing which bases they use for each photon, not the results. They only keep the bits where their basis choices matched up.
Exactly. And the security comes straight from those quantum rules. If Eve tries to intercept and measure a photon, she has to guess which basis Alice used. She'll be wrong about half the time. When she guesses wrong and resends the photon, she introduces errors into the quantum state. Obvious errors. So when Alice and Bob later compare a sample of their matched bits, they'll see a higher error rate than expected, revealing Eve's snooping. If the error rate's low, they know the key is safe. Okay, then there's another really cool approach. The E91 protocol from Arthur Eckert in 1991. This one's different. It's all based on that spooky entanglement and something called Bell's theorem. So here you have a source that creates pairs of entangled photons. It sends one to Alice, one to Bob. Because they're entangled, their measurement results will be perfectly correlated if they measure in compatible ways. They perform measurements, and if the results show that strong quantum correlation, they know they share a secret key derived from those measurements. And the security, well, any eavesdropping destroys that delicate entanglement. It breaks the correlation.
Alice and Bob can test for this by checking if their results violate Bell's inequality. If they do, in the way quantum mechanics predicts, they know no one interfered. So the big difference from BB-84 is this reliance on entanglement and using Bell's theorem to verify security, not just looking for measurement errors.
It's amazing how they leverage these different quantum effects. And besides BB-84 and E91, there are others too, right? Like B92, which is simpler. And people are building actual QKD networks now. Shows how much innovation is happening.
Definitely. But, okay, moving from the elegant theory to, well, messy reality, setting up a working quantum crypto system, that takes some serious engineering. We're talking specialized kit. Quite different from our standard networks.
Absolutely. Let's talk quantum communication channels. Two main ways, Most common is fiber optic, sending photons down glass fibers. But the big challenge is distance, isn't it? Photons get lost, absorbed, scattered. The signal fades pretty fast, limits you to maybe, 100, 200 kilometers? Which is why things like quantum repeaters are so important, needed to boost the signal and go further.
Right, and they're complex devices themselves.
Then for really long distances, like across continents, there's satellite-based QKD. Satellites act as relays. China's Michus satellite is the famous example beamed quantum signals over 1,200 kilometers. Less loss in space, which is good. But aiming those signals precisely between space and ground, that's incredibly hard.
Definitely a major engineering feat. And beyond the channels, you need the right gear at each end. We're talking detectors and photonic technologies. You need detectors sensitive enough to see single photons. Things like APD's avalanche photodiodes. Or even better, but more expensive, are SNSPD's superconducting nanowire single photon detectors. Super sensitive. And you need good sources too, reliable ways to create single photons or entangled pairs, often using techniques like SPDC spontaneous parametric down conversion.
Okay, so it's sophisticated stuff. But this raises that important question. What are the real-world limits we're still hitting? You mentioned channel losses and distances for fiber. That seems like a major hurdle for widespread use.
It is. That exponential drop-off is the key challenge for terrestrial networks.
And then there's noise and hardware errors, right? Just random stuff happening, like thermal noise, or detectors firing when there's no photon dark counts. Or maybe the lasers aren't perfectly aligned. These aren't eavesdroppers, but they introduce errors. And couldn't those errors potentially mask real attacks? Or even be exploited, like that photon number-splitting attack you mentioned, where if the source accidentally sends 2 photons, Eve could peel one off.
Exactly. Imperfections can create vulnerabilities. That PNS attack relies on non-ideal photon sources. So researchers are constantly working on countermeasures. Using better, true single-photon sources is one thing. Another clever trick is using decoy states. Alice mixes in weaker pulses with her real signals. This helps reveal if Eve is trying that PNS attack. And there's a big push towards building fundamentally secure hardware or even device-independent QKD. QKD. DIQKD is fascinating because you don't even need to trust the internal workings of Alice's or Bob's devices. You just check the statistics of their inputs and outputs against Bell's theorem. It verifies security externally.
Wow. Trustless hardware, almost. But despite all these challenges, there's been real progress in practice, hasn't there? MISHIS showed satellites work. In Europe, you've got the Quantum Internet Alliance pushing forward. And it's not just research labs. Companies like ID Quantique, Toshiba, they're selling commercial QKD systems now, being used in finance, for example. Plus, hybrid approaches, mixing quantum keys with classical encryption, seem quite popular for near-term security boosts.
Absolutely. Progress is definitely being made.
Yep.
So if we step back now, what does this all mean? Picture. This isn't just a tech upgrade. It's potentially reshaping trust and security on a global scale.
Yeah, let's think about applications in key sectors. Finance is obvious. Securing transactions, protecting banks from future quantum hacks, maybe even building quantum-safe blockchains.
It's definitely being explored. High-value transactions, long-term data archival. Finance has clear needs.
And then healthcare. Protecting patient records, securing remote doctor visits, ensuring medical devices aren't tampered with. Especially with rules like GDPR, the need for that kind of robust security is huge. This seems like a perfect fit.
It really does. The integrity and confidentiality demands are extremely high in healthcare. But for this to really take off globally, regulation and standardization are going to be crucial. We need international bodies like the ITU and ISO to agree on standards. How do protocols work together? How do we certify systems are secure? And governments need to be involved too, funding research, setting guidelines for deployment. It's a big coordination effort.
Makes sense. And if we connect this to the really big picture, the potential for global security infrastructures, it's massive. You hear talk of a quantum internet, a global network connecting quantum computers and devices securely. Imagine secure communication between nations, organizations. Maybe even secure cloud quantum computing.
That's the long-term vision for many researchers.
Plus protecting our critical infrastructures, power grids, water supplies, military comms, making them resilient to cyber threats, especially future quantum ones. And doesn't this also have geopolitical angles? Countries racing to lead in this tech?
Oh, absolutely. There's definitely a strategic dimension. Leadership in quantum tech, including QKD, is seen as important for national security and economic competitiveness. Looking ahead, there's also this interesting link between quantum cryptography and quantum computers. While QCs threaten old crypto, they could actually help quantum crypto, maybe designing better protocols or running parts of the system more efficiently. It's symbiotic in a way, and the main goals remain. Keep expanding those quantum networks towards that global quantum internet, integrate it with what we have now. But the future challenges are still significant. Getting more range, better error correction, tackling subtle hardware vulnerabilities like side channels or Trojans, and of course bringing down the cost and just getting people's society comfortable with and accepting of these new technologies.
Right. So let's try and summarize the key takeaways from this deep dive, drawing on Jurgo Schneppet's insights. Quantum cryptography. It's built on these amazing quantum rules, superposition, entanglement, uncertainty, and it offers a fundamentally new kind of security. One that classical methods just can't provide, especially against quantum computers. Protocols like BB84, E91, they're moving from theory into the real world, even with challenges still to solve.
Exactly. And the significance for the future of security is truly profound. It's about aiming for, potentially, absolute security, resilience. It could become the foundation for things like the quantum internet. Though, realistically, the future is probably a mix of quantum and improved classical methods post-quantum cryptography working together.
Which leads us to that final, maybe provocative thought for you to ponder. What new kinds of truly private communication, truly secure interactions become possible when information can be fundamentally unclonable and tamper-proof? How might that reshape everything from personal privacy to, global trust and power? Big questions. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Jurgo Schneppet's work on quantum cryptography. It's been quite the journey into the quantum realm.
It certainly has. And if you're interested in digging deeper into his perspectives or finding more resources, you can check out schneppad.de.
We really hope you gained some valuable insights today. Until next time, stay curious.